doing, and we'll be asking a exciting question during the sideboarding. And what we're going to be doing is giving away 3 months of premium as a giveaway. So be prepared during sideboarding to see what happens there. Now, what do we have going on in play?
Okay, so we had a turn 1 Ancient Tomb into Voltaic Key, which was promptly met by a Wasteland. Turn 2, we have another Ancient Tomb.
Yep, immediately replaced. And
Silver Gill Adept comes down. Shows a Coral Helm Commander. And I like that play from Alex, that he's, no messing around. Like, I see an Ancient Tomb. Like, I know that you're trying to abuse that type of strategy. Yeah. Like, I'm going to Wasteland you.
Absolutely.
Right away.
Absolutely.
That is my plan.
City of Traders. Totally going for the full brown strategy here. I was hoping to see a Metalworker there, but instead it's a pass.
The pass there is pretty rough. It's rough to play as City of Traders and pass.
Oh, yeah.
16?
Currently, they're both at 20.
I believe it's actually 16.
Bomholt is actually at 16. He tapped an Ancient Tomb, and he was hit by an Adept.
There we go.
Okay. Now, I'm sure there's going to be some line of play on this turn.
Oh, Doctor.
What? It's trigger ability. Okay,
Got a trigger. 2 mana. He does get the trigger.
Yeah. Did he just put it in the graveyard before tapping it, though?
He tapped it. He put out forth a tap. Mox Opal, which makes with the Great Furnace the 3rd artifact.
Yeah, that's active. So he's got 6 mana here. That's a Forge Master.
Wow. With mana open. No, is that with mana open? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Mana open.
Goes to 14. And that's actually a pretty beefy blocker, too.
Is that a 3/5?
Yeah.
So big.
That's a tree 5.
3/5.
Tree 5. Man. This thing's pretty exciting.
Now, he can put any number of crazy cards into play.
Yeah, we have no idea what's coming down. You could put a Blightsteel Colossus into play.
Now, Alex's deck literally can't do anything to the permanents that come into play in Game 1.
Yeah, he cannot interact.
His interactions are counterspells.
Yeah. But the Forge Master being there, that ability is not something he can counter. Alex does not have Stifles in his deck.
That's right.
So Mike's going to go down to 10 here. See what happens here. I think he's probably going to...
when I first saw Kuldotha Forge Master, I didn't think it was going to be good enough to be able to be viable. And here it is in Legacy. It piled through almost 300 players to get here to the top 8.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. This deck is exciting.
I'm pretty pumped about it.
Look at the stuff he's doing. That's a real card.
Goblin Welder. There is a little bit of color in there.
So he's not mono brown. But I mean, Welder seems pretty good in this type of archetype here.
Thinking about that.
God. So anything can happen.
Yeah. It was dazed. He chose not to tap his Ancient Tomb, which I agree with.
It's actually more valuable for him to have it in the yard. It means he has something to weld.
Yes. Well, I mean, he's going to have things to weld as soon as he activates that Forge Master, which he's going to this turn. His hand is double Mirror Battlesphere, Wormcoil Engine. He's playing like just a ton of bombs from the new set.
Okay, what's gonna happen now?
Mirror Regery. $130. I'm interested to see what he does here. He may just block with this Forge Master and then tap it and grab a Blightsteel Colossus or something like that.
Okay, let's see what these three go and get.
All right.
Battlesphere? Oh, is that a Wormcoil?
Yeah, that seems like a good play.
Are the creatures that are made by the Wormcoil, are they artifacts? Okay.
Gain 1.
So he's gonna
0.
gain 6,
Gain 6 and take 6.
take 6. He breaks even.
So I'm saying like. Go ahead.
That's probably why. He
Oh,
didn't
there
get
we
it.
are.
Yeah, I think he drew both of them off the top, so he could not have gotten the Mer Battlesphere to go insane with his welder.
No, he doesn't sack it. That's kind of shocking to me. That's actually really shocking to me.
Yeah. Makes sense. So he bashes for 6 lifelink damage. Seems pretty good. Now he bashes for 6, puts Alex down to. Alex may still be deciding blocks here. Pretty unfortunate that he drew both those Mirror Battlespheres. That prevents his deck from doing the truly degenerate things that it's capable of.
I still think that welder should have sacked that. Wormcoil engine. He would have 2 artifacts in play instead of 1 from that, so a total of 4 in play. The Forge Master could still do its work. He'd have a welder up. I mean, there's still so much that would have been happening. There would be a Wormcoil engine in his yard that he could use. Well, he can still put it in the yard with the Golgotha Forge Master, but it requires him then to use the Forge Master to sack itself.
One card name? One.
Some Rashad tokens. Oh, he has tokens. Ooh, nice. Shiny sleeves. What's he gonna get? What's the most exciting artifact that you could possibly get here?
Wormcoil engine
Wormcoil
number 2.
engine.
That's not bad.
Seems pretty good.
You know, weld that Death Touch token into another Wormcoil.
Yeah. Wow, Goblin Welder's really good with Wormcoil engine. This is so cool. Alex is like going perfect Merfolk aggro draw, and
Cracks it. Gets another one.
this is just silly.
Tap. Here comes the
Bash
team.
with the Death Touch and the 6/6. Well, he can't swing with the life linkers. The Merfolk are 4/4s. Yeah, this has got to be
God.
really, really scary for Alex. I mean, this may just be a new archetype that just becomes like something that people play. This is powerful.
It looks really powerful. Oh my goodness.
On the first few turns, he was just like stumbling around. Not like his draw wasn't even that impressive, and he's just doing these like absurdly broken things.
Against a deck that is a mainstay heavyweight deck. Here comes the team. What else is he going to do, right?
That's basically all he can do.
Welder is probably going to sack the Wormcoil Engine,
To get another worm coil.
get another Wormcoil Engine and a pair of
Makes
friends
sense.
to get a total of 5 blockers. Oh, he's having to go with
Including 3
Rashad.
tokens that have.
And Alex is like, you know, that's
Alex,
enough.
like, you know, I've had enough of this.
Oh my god.
Now, what does Alex even get post board? Is he a submerge? Like, is that even worth it for the welder?
5 mana?
Welder.
Submerge doesn't work unless for free unless there's the right lands are in play. He has to have a forest on the other side of the table.
Oh, you're right. It's not just the green guy.
Yeah.
But those look distinctly different.
You
Those
look
look
at this
distinctly
guy. What are you trying to
Oh
pull
my
here?
goodness.
Man, this is the most exciting deck I've seen all day. This is so great. He's making worm coil engines and then making more of them. Imagine if he tapped the welder on end step that one time. He would have just had even more of them.
This 5 mana storage is gonna rock you, bro.
Kadoltha Forge Master.
Just wait and see.
I had no idea that I would ever see that played in a serious deck.
Just for time.
I thought it would be played in a marginal deck, not a serious deck.
I mean, I did not either. I fault myself for not having faith in
Then what?
this deck, but you know, I was hearing the stories early on and like laughing and joking, and then
So good.
it was
So
abundantly
good.
clear to
That
me
made my
that
day.
this deck's the real deal.
It looks pretty real to me.
He's taking out Lightning Greaves, and
Judge, look
looks
at
like
him.
he's taking out.
Exclamation point, exclamation point.
He even has Crucible. That actually seems pretty good. He probably has Wastelands, right?
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised by anything that's kind of stacks-like.
He's taking out his Titan. Not very good against a mono blue deck.
Yeah, Titan only knocking out 1 land when it comes in, 1 land that comes out. There are probably more broken things he can do than that.
Yes. I think it's safe to say that, especially when his opponent's playing stuff like Vile.
Where the islands aren't necessarily much of much use except for to power up days if the vial is there. Okay, so one of the things that we're going to ask is for this giveaway. The giveaway, you're going to be responding to pound SCGINDY leg top 8. Pound SCGINDY leg top 8. And I have a question that I'd like to ask, and there are actually more than there's more than one possible way to ask this question. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask. Earlier today, when we were talking in the coverage, I brought up another Merfolk player who is well known, who played in the top 8 of a Pro Tour. What Merfolk player played in the top 8 of a Pro Tour that we talked about earlier this night? He was mentioned as a player that killed some High Tide players.
I'll give you an extra clue. He is a Frenchman.
Oui. So remember, pound SCGINDY leg top 8. That's where you can get your response.
Boy, oh boy. Well, we're going to be on tilt for game 2. Should have made it a little bit more of a nail biter. That would really been like, what if he was at 6 house life?
I mean, this has to just be...
I've gotten the double one for a couple times today. It's just like,
This has to be the most,
Literally,
you know,
lose the voucher, maybe to the high tide deck.
innovative deck of
That's
this,
like-
you know, like top 8. There's no way that
Jeez, that's pretty awesome.
I can't even believe this is real.
I know, it's pretty exciting.
This is like I want him to win.
Oh, I
I
absolutely,
absolutely
want
want him to win. Drew Laskin's called shot will leave him in the finals, and he will die in a wake of
Oh, nice.
worm coil engines. And he's 4 colors, right?
Good luck.
He's getting tightened. it's done.
to win. And one thing to remember with that giveaway that we're doing, it's going to be 3 months of premium Star City Games account. And it's something I think is a really great value.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great thing to have. If you're trying to play competitively and you don't have a Star City Games premium account, then you're missing out on a huge edge. You get to read top-end articles from world-class players. The 2 players of the year currently, Brad Nelson and Guillaume Matignon, sorry, are both writing for Star City Games now. You have other great guest writers from time to time, like myself. You have great writers like Adrian. You have classic people like Jerry. Jerry's always at the cutting edge of any constructed format. And if you want to stay competitive, being able to read what he has to say about the format will always be a great help to you. Star City Games Premium is like a great thing to have.
And let's pretend that you're a curmudgeon and you're like, I just don't like anything that they have to say. They don't say things that are new or anything like that. You can be a total curmudgeon and still get real value out of it, because the thing is, other people read it and it influences metagames. So if you care about winning, you should find out what the other people are hearing about, because it does influence what gets played at events. Okay.
There's also a wealth of information on there that's not necessarily about deck lists and things like that. That's actually about like theory and deck building and things like that. So if you're not necessarily into, you know, seeing what decks are winning so you can play those decks, there's a lot of valuable information on there for building your own decks.
Absolutely. We're about to see the next game begin with Michael Bomholt going down to, was that 5 cards or 6 cards? Another quick mulligan.
Never have been more worried about my opponent's multi-5 ever in my life. Never.
The last time I remember playing a welder deck was probably right around a year after Welder was printed. And one of the things about welder decks is they're actually surprisingly good at mulliganing, because oftentimes you just need to get a welder into play, and then stuff just kind of happens.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like Alex was just running away with that game, and then it just got completely out of hand so quickly.
Yesterday, I was up a game against Boros, and then he molded 4 on the play game too, and then he just said, open his 4 cards, go. No land, just go. And then he beat me that game. So we're from the weekend, maybe because this deck is like the nut.
Before, I believe I misspoke and called Drew Levin Drew Laskin. I would like to apologize right now.
Wow.
So Michael's mulliganing into oblivion here.
You know, when I said that you can mulligan fairly well, there's always a limit to a deck that can mulligan fairly well. That's not to say that, you know, there aren't sometimes you'll mulligan onto 4 and still win. I've seen it happen a few times.
And I mean, he's playing cards like Grim Monolith that are kind of like 3 cards in one.
And it's probably like,
You know, like how is
30% win the game,
like
at least.
a 7-card hand with multiple Great Furnaces is very similar to a 4-card hand with 2 Grim Monoliths and a
Takes down 2 Sundering Titans and
City
1
of Traders.
Warlord. No joke.
On turn 3,
Right?
he
We
has
lost that game because they were
access
Sundering
to an
Titans.
absurd amount of
We
mana.
lost those games if they were Sundering Titans.
Yeah.
Yep, yeah, casually, very casually scars blocks with me. Lose to it in limited and constructed.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Let's see this 4-card hand.
1, 2, 3, 4 mana. Thought he was going to pick it back up again. Oh, wow. There's a key off of the Great Furnace, and I believe that's a welder in his hand, hiding back in there in the wings.
So
That is certainly well there. Wow. He can just rip into like a Forge Master, and there's.
Oh my goodness.
That's too good.
Oh, wow. Alex ready with a Wasteland. Wasteland actually not incredibly
Yeah,
exciting
I mean,
because it
he
gets
can just
an
weld out his key and get that Great Furnace back if he wants to.
What is that he's just drawn?
I have no idea. Is that another Voltaic key?
Yep.
City of Traders.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
another
it's another
Voltaic key.
Is that really the key to your plan?
Okay. 1, 2, 3, Rejury. Can attack for 3.
Getting in there for 3 damage. Dropping Michael down to 15. Throws an Ancient Tomb. He's just going to pass the turn.
It wouldn't take very much for this hand to turn into something.
Oh yeah, not at all.
I'm not sure how I feel about the Great Furnace in the yard. That does mean he now has something to weld.
Yeah.
What's that?
I don't know.
There's so many cards, we
There's
can't
so
quite
many
tell what they
cards.
are. I mean, it's an artifact.
Sure about that?
Ancient Tomb.
He's going to 8.
Is that a Revoker?
That is Phyrexian Revoker. Naming Aether Vial.
Sure.
And that actually holds off the Rejury.
Yeah, that can trade with that Rejury. Surprised Alex didn't put a counter on the vial.
There's another Rejury, perhaps, or a
Oh.
Sovereign. Sovereign it is.
That'll do it.
Remember, he's got a Voltaic key.
7, that puts him to 3.
Yep.
This next turn.
7? 7.
Goes to 3.
1, right?
Okay.
20 to 1? Yeah.
Now if he taps this tomb for mana, he goes to 1, so.
Just gonna get rid of the Revoker. Get the key.
Ooh.
Possibility to do anything there? What does he have in his hand there? What is that artifact?
That's a Mirror Battle Sphere.
Not enough.
That is not enough. So he mulliganed to 4, and Alex was in some danger there. Like, if he was like 1 card away from
Being able to do some real damaging stuff. I mean,
doing really insane things.
now obviously, the thing is that if he has the mana to cast the Battle Sphere, which all it would have taken at that point would have been a Grim Monolith, right? Then, when the Battle Sphere hits the play, and it's going to hit play because the mirror, the Goblin Welder, if it gets countered, we'll just bring it back.
Yeah.
And then suddenly he's got defense all across the board.
Yeah,
And the
there's
Mer-
no way to attack him.
Well, the
Or
Merfolk
Home
Sovereign
Commander.
is the only is the way through that, right? But it's still like that's how close it was. Just a turn earlier with a Battle Sphere, and things could have been very, very different.
And looping the Battle Sphere in and out, you create so many tokens.
Now, yeah, three cards down is a big deal.
Yeah, mulliganing to 4 is, generally speaking, a pretty rough way to start a match. Now this deck though, this opens up a whole new path as far as an archetype goes, because this is the first iteration of this. Yeah, we have no idea whether or not his build is correct.
Right,
Whether,
right.
Like how tight this build is. Like if he made the top 8, like he probably worked on this deck. This deck is probably pretty tight, and I'm
might
really
be-
interested to see how it changes with like
It would be cool.
new iterations when new people get their hands on this. Imagine Jerry building a new version of this. That'd be awesome.
If you think about the deck, right, you know, as a new deck, you've got this rogue deck, which is probably going to pull out some wins, partly because it doesn't have the kind of hate that would be directed at it. This is a moment where artifacts are not being particularly hated, but also just people not knowing what to do. Let's pretend his card or his deck was significantly off. Let's pretend that his deck was 10 cards off from a not viable, pardon me, 10 cards off from a more honed version of the deck. It's still going to be doing really well in this metagame, but it could be potentially even better. This might just be the beginning of where it gets to be good, and it might just totally soar even further.
Yeah, Rashad is saying that you know, as soon as this deck becomes good, null rods start showing up, and then the deck becomes unplayable.
Well, no,
But-
I mean you can try to answer a null rod
Yeah, I mean Welder answers null
if they
rod.
have another artifact.
If they have another
If they have
artifact in
another
the
artifact.
yard.
Good luck, man.
Ancient Tomb. I mean, I doubt people will be willing to play, you know, null rods. Null rod seems really narrow to me.
I think for null rod to end up making an appearance, you'd basically have to see a huge portion of the field playing the deck.
Yeah. Or people playing Enlightened Tutor, in which case people could just
Yeah,
play
yeah.
one null rod on their board, and then they have a null rod against.
And then only
all
one,
sorts of
only
decks.
one or two kinds of archetypes then get the opportunity to play null rod if it's an enlightened tutor base for them then.
All right, so they're both going down to 6 cards now. No. I mean, null rod actually, it hits quite a few things. Like it hits top, it hits like all of Affinity. It's just extraordinarily powerful if it's in the right metagame. But the problem is it's so narrow that a lot of, like, I can't see non-Enlightened Tutor decks playing copies. Especially because it turns off so many things that people want to be doing. Like, counterbalance decks can't play null rod. So the Enlightened Tutor decks can't even play it, because it'll turn off their top. The only decks that can see. And perhaps it would be a one-up in sideboards. Nice. Who did Alex say was going to keep that? Yeah, he did.
Wow, here's going to be the explosion times. That's resolved. I mean, he can force of will. It comes out after the metalworker, but the metalworker can do something crazy the next turn too. Oh, doctor. Oh, God.
Oh my goodness, this is incredible!
Wow.
Say hello to my little friend.
Now, to be
Worms.
fair, a force of will stops the only real threat that he has.
It's true.
Has he got it? Nope. Okay. I wonder what that card names.
Revoker, naming vial.
Oh, boy.
That was pretty good. Alex has got to feel sick about this. I mean, this is so cool. And Alex is actually pretty good-natured about this type of thing.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm pretty sure he's going to be excited to have lost the breakout deck of the tournament.
Exactly.
Lodestone Golem. Now that's actually pretty good. Ooh, Alex ripped the force off the top. One turn too late to stop the truly important threat, though.
Right.
The worm coil engine. Michael Bomholt crashes in for a 12-point swing.
This is so crazy. How much is that? It's just,
That's a lot.
yeah. I mean, I know that there's a discrete number of it, but that's not the point.
Yeah.
How good would a Hercules recall be?
That would also be very good right now. I mean, it's funny how little hate there is for this type of archetype. Like he literally just has free reign. Like he can do this, and nobody is trying to prevent this from happening at all.
Exactly.
Like nobody even knew that you could do this.
It's one of those things that, you know, it really benefited from just this huge gap in the metagame that because of just the lack of affinity and the lack of a lot of other things that are based on artifacts, this was able to come out and just surprise everybody. I know that when this deck was first mentioned earlier today, people were kind of just thinking, oh, that's a cute story.
Yeah, I was one of those people.
Oh, I certainly was.
Rashad was not.
Yeah.
For the record, Rashad was like, best deck. He called his shot. Much like Drew Levin, this top 8. Do we have any information on the other matches and how they're going right now?
Here we go.
Now, Alex is tanking. He's trying to figure out if there's a way out of this at all. If he plays another Lord, he can trade with this Worm Coil. But then Michael ends up picking up a pair of 3/3s, one of which will have Death Touch and the other will have Lifelink.
Apparently, in the other matchups, Ben Weinberg is up 1 game against Drew Levin. Actually, I'm not sure. It's best of 3, right? Not best of 5, right?
It is best of 3.
Okay, the way that was sent to me, I'm not exactly sure what he means. Unless Ben Weinberg is running Lavamancer main, that doesn't make much sense to me. Okay, so in play, though, we've got Metalworker, Worm Coil Engine, Phyrexian Revoker, Mox Diamond, Ancient Tomb, facing down a small little army of Merfolk, which is double Regery, and a Silvergill Adept.
Oh.
The Revoker is holding down a Aether Vial.
Yeah, this Worm Coil is about to deal with 2 of these Lords. And I believe that may be a Welder in his hand right now.
Oh, God.
Cards in his 3.
Now, Alex has just got to tank here. He's got to figure out whether or not, like, he basically needs to block at this point. Or I guess he can take one more hit. But he's going to need to double block this at some point. It's going to need to happen.
And there it comes, getting down some residual worms.
And Michael goes up to 31. He's slowly getting out of reach. Alex
Yeah, that's good.
hits his head against the table.
Yeah, I think we were in this game without it, too.
It's not a card he wanted to see.
Oh, I drew the first. Good games.
He shows his opponent that he drew a force off the top of his deck.
Oh, man. We were in that game, too.
And Michael Bomholt takes the first match of the
Everyone's throwing
quarterfinals.
another work on the front.